Okay, so I've never actually played an Animal Crossing game before, and, while this one was certainly fun, I still have my own problems with it, and admittedly it's not really helped by the fact that I've just kind of hit that point in the game where I can accomplish every possible daily thing in a matter of about 10-15 minutes and then have basically nothing else to do until tomorrow. So a lot of this video is probably going to sound negative, but I do want to make one thing absolutely clear. I like Animal Crossing New Horizons. I think it's fun, but admittedly when it comes to time sync games, for me, there's just better options out there right now because there's just not really much left for me to do until a new update comes out. Admittedly, before I even picked up Animal Crossing, I was actually a little hesitant. See, I had never actually heard of the series until they announced Villager for Smash 4, and from what I had seen, it basically just looked like a glorified mobile game where you could basically accomplish everything in about 30 minutes. Granted, I didn't look into it too hard, I just kind of looked at a couple of more joke kind of reviews, and as well as the Zero Punctuation review, and just kind of went, this doesn't really seem like my kind of game. So I was kind of hesitant about picking up New Horizons, but at the same time I figured, well, I've never played it before, I should actually, play it for myself before I make my own judgments. And then, ironically, the whole COVID-19 thing started and everybody had to stay inside anyway, so it's not like anybody had anything else better to do. So in case you don't know, Animal Crossing tends to operate in real time, where everything gets implemented usually the next day. Want to get a new building built? Well, too bad, it's not showing up till tomorrow. And personally, that does kind of annoy me. Admittedly, when it comes to time sync games, I'm used to it being done in a matter of, 30 minutes to maybe an hour or two, and honestly, having to wait a whole day is kind of annoying because it just makes it so that once you hit your daily limit of basically, stuff you can do, there's less things you can do because whatever that's getting built or updated or fixed or whatever isn't going to be ready until tomorrow. Granted, you can time travel by, going into the system settings and changing the time, but frankly, I can't be bothered. I'm too lazy. Although one thing that I definitely think is kind of annoying, more so than the whole time thing, is the fact that there's only the one save file. Only one profile on the Switch can actually progress the island, and anybody else that plays on that profile can't actually do anything to progress the island. It is more or less just kind of like somebody who just joined from a different console. If you want to have your own island, you have to have your own console. And because there's only the one save file, for me, in time sync kind of games like, say, Stardew Valley, I like to have two save files. One where I have all my hard work and grinding done and I'm basically maxed out on everything, and there's not necessarily much left for me to do, and more of a throwaway file that I'll usually clear and restart every couple weeks or so because I got bored and decided I want to do some things different this time, but at the same time I don't want to delete my main file because I put so much work into that it would just feel, honestly, just kind of dumb deleting it after putting in that much work. Now, I won't touch too much on the community because, of course, everybody knows that the community is the worst part of anything, but the Animal Crossing community is definitely one of the more unique ones because it's constantly preaching that the game can be picked up by anyone and anybody can enjoy it, but admittedly for some people, they don't necessarily want a time sync game. Some people want more of a story, and Animal Crossing doesn't really have much of a story. Sure, there's the quote-unquote campaign where you try to get KK to show up to your island, but pretty much once you've done that, there's not really much left in terms of a quote-unquote campaign for you to do, unless you make one for yourself, but, that's a little trickier to do. Admittedly, I don't pay too much attention to any game community because I don't really like interacting with those kinds of things. But one thing that the community loves is actually the villagers themselves, to the point where certain villagers are very, very popular and others are basically unheard of by many. And because of that, people will go to great lengths to try to get specific villagers on their island to the point where they'll grind and grind and grind for tons of tickets to go to our random RNG islands and hope that maybe one of them is there. Whereas somebody like me, who's both new to the series and more of a casual, just kind of saw whoever was there and went, okay, you'll do, and then just proceeded to keep doing that until the island was full. I can kind of understand the thought that certain villagers are going to be more popular because, of course, there's in pretty much every game there's always characters that are more popular than others, but the lengths that some people are willing to go to try to get specific villagers on an island just seems kind of silly to me. I mean, people will trade millions and millions of bells just for those little RNG tickets just to hope that maybe the villager they want will be on the random island for them to try to take home. It just seems kind of silly to me. One thing I do want to touch on too is, of course, the internet play, because, you know, a lot of people, especially courtesy of the whole quarantine thing, are wanting to play online with their friends, but because it's a Nintendo game, the online is really not that great. Of course, it's peer-to-peer connections, and you gotta pay for the Nintendo online service to be able to do it, but anytime someone connects or disconnects to your island, you have to sit through a cutscene, and if anybody on the island is doing anything, you know, basically anything, it could potentially disrupt that person connecting or disconnecting and could wind up causing some issues. I mean, every time someone connects to the island, you have to sit through basically a little boarding screen where you see, you know, a little light plane, you know, go across the screen, and you have to wait for it to land before you can actually do anything. And sometimes if the connection is really not that great, for example, me connecting to some of my Australian friends, it can take a long time. And it's kind of annoying that you have to sit through that every single time someone connects or disconnects from the island, as opposed to just background loading like a normal game might. So again, I'm sure a lot of what I said there probably sounded very, very negative, and it probably makes it sound like that I actually hate the game, but really, I don't. Those, you know, are more or less just kind of nitpicks, but, you know, the game itself is still fun. I still was able to sink a lot of time into it, and while, sure, some of my time sink was definitely very annoying, for example, trying to get my island from a 2-star rating to a 3-star rating so that I could finally unlock terraforming, which took nearly 3 weeks because I apparently didn't have enough flowers, even though I thought, frankly, I had too many, and ugh. But the game is still fun. It's a good time sink, and there's definitely plenty for you to do when you first start out, but like with any time sink, you're gonna hit a point where you're just gonna feel like there's not necessarily much left for you to do, and for me in Animal Crossing, I basically just kind of hit that point where I'm more or less just waiting for updates to come out to give me more stuff to do so that I can, you know, actually be able to play for more than about 10-15 minutes at a go. Like I said, still fun, but I've just kind of hit that point. Well, if you're still with me at the end, I do want to thank you for actually watching this video. I do want to try to make more videos kind of like this that admittedly are a little more ranty, but to me personally they're a little more fun to make because I feel like I can actually connect with people a little better and potentially find people with same or similar opinions, and I don't know. I'm an amateur content creator. What does anybody care what I do, right? If you did like the video, though, let me know by either leaving a like or a comment or what have you. If you feel like you want to see more of this kind of stuff, feel free to subscribe because I'm probably going to be trying to post a lot more often, especially since I've got, you know, a fair bit more time on my hands now. And I will see you later.